Hi, and welcome to another episode and very special episode of Visual Development.
It's very special.
It's very special. I'm Frank Hong. I'm joined by my roommate today, and we are actually going to talk a lot about portfolio. So that's the topic of today. I got some questions on Facebook, and people want to know what makes a good portfolio, and when they're preparing something like that for work, for professional reasons, you want to carry that with a level of professionalism. So we're going to talk about a little bit, like starting from scratch, or just what makes a good portfolio.
There's certain common mistakes you can make that just X out your portfolio right away when they're narrowing it down. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. I'm going to keep the video playing on the background here. This is just me sort of finding a painting.
Painting with light, eh?
Yeah, like you've seen me do this before in my thumbnail sessions. Trying to paint with lighting a little bit. If I don't have a painting, this is a good practice to sort of go about it, to find something that might be interesting to look at. But yeah, I think everyone professionally who does this have a portfolio, right? Even if they might not have it available for viewing. Everyone has a portfolio that they sort of go back to, and they use that to secure their work.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely something that an artist sort of kind of defines who an artist is.
Sometimes it's hard though to talk so generally because you kind of want to tailor your portfolio to what you're applying for. No?
Yeah.
That's the way I would think of it. I mean.
So there's no such thing as a perfect portfolio, and sometimes we don't just have one portfolio. Sometimes we have dedicated portfolio for different reasons, for different fields, or different clients. But before we even jump into that, why don't we go really back to the roots about what really makes a good portfolio. So your portfolio is, let it be physical or not, it's really a representation of you. It's a representation of you as an artist and your professionalism and your potential. So when people look at your portfolio, they should be able to get those answers from that, right? So we're talking about concept art. So concept art is really something that has a little bit of next level of communication. So you can't just be good at rendering. You also have to be having a very unique or very developed design sense.
A strong process is one thing I would say is good for a concept, no?
Yeah, a strong process.
Because that's what a director would want. If he was looking at your work, he'd want to see how you did it.
Mm-hmm.
And make sure you're able to repeat it. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
That you're not just kind of
one trick pony.
Or you don't just kind of make it all up as you go along. I mean, I'm sure a lot of concept artists, what people look for is consistency.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, so they can consistently produce results. Doesn't matter what you really ask for, right? So the client's not going to ask for the same things over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, original ideas you got to be able to design.
Mm-hmm.
Some people have a full portfolio of amazing looking artworks, but you realize that nothing in there is really an original idea.
Mm-hmm.
They've sort of just taken from everything that you've seen before. And as an artist, that's okay, but as a concept artist, where you're constantly being asked to design stuff, then it suddenly isn't so okay. Your job is to design, and your job is to create visual language. And if you sort of don't have that library in your head, it's going to be very difficult.
What's a good design right now? Good silhouettes, nice composition. I mean,
a good design.
How can you even generalize it now?
Composition and lighting. These are painting techniques. These are things that make your painting looks nice. Right?
Things that you should be good at by default.
Things you should be good at as an artist, right?
From studying.
Yeah, but as a concept artist, you gotta actually have more than just that. You gotta have design language. You gotta have shape language. Able to just put random shapes together and make it work, make it look nice, right?
Methods of making creative designs even when you're not feeling creative.
Exactly. There should be we're all training for a high default. So even if you're not producing and you're not being creative, you just go to your default, smash some things together. It should still have all the fundamentals there.
I think that's so important because you're not always so inspired, especially when you're working in the industry, right?
Yeah.
Going there every day, go to the 9 to 5. You're gonna go there. You're not always gonna be like whipping your paintbrush around and
masterpiece.
Yeah, just blasting
Boom.
up creative designs. You got to be able to like bring out stuff when you're like stressed out and you don't care about the project. You know, you got to be able to trick your director into that you're good.
You're supposed to be good.
Yeah.
That's basically you're working on your baseline, and for a week, 5 days, and you're working 12 hours a day being creative. You're not always inspired. You're not always creative and thinking about new ideas and things like that.
Not nearly. Yeah.
It's very difficult. So you got to be consistent, and your portfolio should reflect that. So it should cover some ground in terms of working process and how you approach problem solving, because that's really the name of the game, is that you're there to solve a design problem and provide solutions. But if you can't provide solutions consistently rather, then you're a value to the team, right?
Let me make a simple scenario for you.
Yeah.
You need to hire a concept artist for your film or whatever.
Yeah.
You're the director. What are the 3 things? Just say 3 things.
Yeah.
That you want in your concept artist. You said process. You want to see process. You want to see creative shape design.
I want to see that. Yeah. Creative shape design, definitely. I want to see something that's not so every day.
So a strong process, a creative shape design, and a mastery of fundamentals.
Mastery of fundamentals, because the painting has to look good. Otherwise,
once you see those 3 core things, then they got your attention, and then you start looking more into that.
Then I'll start reading more into it and see if they're a right fit for the project.
But without those 3 things, you don't even look further, right?
If there's something that's just fundamentally missing, then it tells me that the person isn't strong enough as a designer, and they might be a tremendous artist, which is great if I'm looking for illustration. But if their design language is something that doesn't fit the project, where it's like not quite there yet, then it creates a problem. Right? Then I'll start looking for other things.
That's good news. Well, I'm sure there's some viewers then they're like, wow, I could do all 3 of those things.
Yeah, that would be great.
What's holding them back?
I don't know. Let's go down the list and see what's happening. So we have original idea, a mastery of color. So using color in your work is very important. I think we should just sort of take a step back and really dissect what a good portfolio is versus a bad one, versus a not sort of thought out or not engineered correctly. So a good portfolio has, I guess, a number of pieces, and they should cover a wide range of their skills. So what I mean is, imagine there are a couple of categories. There's a couple of categories. There's character. There's character and costume, which I think these go hand in hand. Environment, tech and props. So some mech designs maybe. Vehicles, and creatures. Now, when you look at concept artists' portfolios, you will find people that specialize in any of these 5 categories, and you'll find that their work is really suitable for one, but they might not display a lot in the other category. Now, this is picking and choosing. When I said cover a wide range, I don't mean to cover all 5 of them equally. That would be. I don't think any one artist can do all 5 exceptionally. To be specialized means that you do one exceptionally well. So if I'm looking for a vehicle designer, I'll go to that guy. I'll go to that guy whose name it'll jump out right in my head, and I'll go look at his portfolio and be like, oh yeah, these vehicles are exactly what I'm looking for. So he's the guy I'm looking for. He's hired because his portfolio has a focus on vehicle designs, and he has great shape language, like the things we just talked about, those 3 points. If he displays those 3 points very well, there's a process, there's skill, there's mastery, and there's design, well-designed shapes, then he's the guy. So when you engineer your portfolio, it's very important that you sort of identify who you are as an artist. You sort of look at what you do as a focal point, as a focus. So if you're
if you're specializing, if your portfolio is showing a specialty, you don't want to. You're saying you shouldn't compromise your portfolio by having things you're not good at it.
Yeah,
in there.
Exactly. You should not be putting things that you're not so good at it in the portfolio. For example, if you're a great character artist, but your environment just not up to snuff, then I say keep your portfolio clean and tidy to a high professional degree of character work, and just skip the environment
Get
altogether.
those environments out of there.
Yeah, if the environments are not competing on the same level as some of the other environment artists, I said be really mindful of where you put that, because people judge you by your worst work, by the least developed work, or like the least appealing work in your portfolio. Say you have a decent sized portfolio, 11 pages, all of them are great character work, and then you throw in one okay environment work in there. Suddenly, I'd say that portfolio value has dropped, because I look at great character works and then I flip to the last page and there's a bad environment, and be like, well, you know, maybe this artist, his skill and mastery isn't so well versed. It doesn't cover all the areas, and suddenly
you've shown your weakness.
Yeah, suddenly I'm looking at a weakness, right? Whereas all the characters, I'm looking at strength. I'm looking at, this is great anatomy, that's great posing, there's great rhythm in his strokes, and boom, all of a sudden I'm looking at a weak environment. That's not good. So a lot of times when you have more than 11 pieces in your portfolio, start cleaning them up. Start just throwing out the old ones, the bad ones. Even if they have like sentimental value to you, have someone else look at it.
It's even worse if you put in stuff that you don't even like doing very much, and then you get hired to do that stuff.
That's a very good point.
And then you're stuck doing environments when you hate doing environments. You know what I mean?
That's a very good point.
And they're like, well, I saw environments in your portfolio. It's like,
that's true. I when I was first doing my portfolio, I asked some people in the industry for opinions. I asked them whether I should include a ZBrush model, whether I should include character models in my portfolio, just to cover more ground, because I was trying to be a game artist, and that was something that other people had. So this guy from Rocksteady said, well, it's hard enough being a concept artist, don't you think? Like, it's hard enough doing what you do and do it well. So why would you want to dilute it and start doing like being a character artist when you're a concept artist? Character artist means you model 3D, you model ZBrush 3D characters instead of just painting them. But I mean, it's great that if you can do it well, but if you don't do it well enough, then it actually drags down your portfolio. And what if someone actually hires you to do character modeling? Then you're not doing what you're trained for. You're doing something that you're a little bit unprepared.
You get stressed, you end up in the bathroom on the phone crying to your mom, telling her you don't love your life anymore.
Because you made a bad career call.
Because you put the characters in your portfolio.
Yeah. It all started with that.
So save your mom the call.
Yeah. So just put the good stuff in there.
put in stuff you love doing, you know? It's weird. It's so many portfolios I've seen. Everyone's trying to be this superstar. Look at all this stuff I can do. It's like, well.
Yeah, I think there's a difference between wowing your audience than wowing the creative directors, the art directors, and the producers.
The people you want to work for.
Yeah, I think there's almost a different mindset when you're going about it. I mean, when you just on your blog, I think you can post a lot of the process work, a lot of the stuff that your audience wants to look at. But when you submit for something like a package, like a neatly designed package, though, I think it needs to be a little bit tailored, don't you think?
I bet tailoring your portfolio to design only around what you want to work on as a career is a good way of keeping yourself safe too. Because if you are secretly an amazing environment artist, but you definitely do not want to do it, and your director doesn't know you are, then you don't have to worry about it working at it.
Yeah, it's actually very important to love what you do, because a lot of this art making is driven by motivation, and it's driven by you want to do it. I mean, we talked about this, how painting and designing, it almost is one of the hardest things for anyone to become a master of, because it takes so long. It takes such a long process to just get a little bit better.
It's so stressful.
It's stressful, and imagine if you hate it.
Yeah, I know this girl. She was working at Red Steam. I won't say her name. She's an incredible artist, just all around. But her life is art, and she was hired for characters, but her environments, she keeps those to herself, because she just wants to do those in her spare time, because the environments to her are the fun thing of painting. The characters became the career. So I thought that was really interesting way to. It was really cool to see someone who's so defined, like what they want to do, and they kept it so separate from the career. Like when I go to my job, I'm doing characters. When I want to have fun painting, I go home and I paint environments. It's really cool. I think more people should think like that.
Yeah. I think that's one really good point. Is that it's like we all loved drawing and painting as a kid, and when we turn that into a career, you suddenly struggle to lose some of that. So I think keeping that separate is really important. Basically, like some of the times I do for work paintings, not every painting I actually enjoy them. I mean, I'd be lying if I said every painting I did I enjoyed doing it. No, a lot of it's struggle.
Are you enjoying this painting right now?
I think I am. I think this is it's a personal piece.
Yeah.
So again, it's motivated by me just wanting to paint and get better as an artist. But if you actually, like, if I hated doing this stuff, if I hated environment, I hated, dabbing paint around, then it becomes a very painful process, and it'll be a little bit harder for me to get better at it. Right? So keeping, I guess, your work and your other paintings separate is very important.
Work and your play.
Work and play, yeah. So this is actually a really good segue to go into personal paintings. So personal paintings, I find, offers you the most reward in terms of getting better, because you're free to explore. You're free to do anything that you want to do in your own painting. When you're working for a client, you don't really get that privilege, because you're on the timeline. You're driven to produce. You're driven to solve the problem, I guess, in the most efficient way possible, because you're either working on a day rate or you're working on a per piece rate, and both requires you to be fast and efficient. In your own paintings, you don't have that driven, that little time bomb ticking on the side,
The pressure.
So what do you think is a good balance of personal work and professional work in your portfolio?
Well, I mean, if you don't want to do personal work, if you don't want to do the work that your personal work looks like the girl I mentioned, if your personal work is environments, and you don't put it in your portfolio, if you don't want to work on environments,
that's true.
You just put what you want to work on in your portfolio, all the time. Now, if you have a website and you're showing how sexy and great and diverse you are, that's different. Then you just.
I think a website is almost like a more fuller portfolio, because they divide it into categories.
Yeah.
They have a sketch and they have a life drawing section. I mean, no one ever get hired for life drawing, but they put it there anyways.
It's my thinking. It's just always more efficient to just tailor the portfolio to where you're applying. Unless there's a lot of people who love painting everything in general. Yeah. I mean, I'm just talking very specifically. Like, there's probably lots of people who love characters and environments and good at it.
I think people ideally want to be able to paint everything, but they always have a strength and weakness. It's not like the things that they don't paint usually, they don't want to paint it. It's probably because they either don't spend that much time doing it.
I think the best thing to do with this video is to encourage a more simplistic approach, because it's such an intimidating thing, because you're saying things that they already have in their heads. Is that they have to make a good portfolio, and everything has to be good. Why not say, well, how about just step back and make a portfolio just based on what you love doing, instead of being bogged down and worried about trying to reach all the standards.
That's a really good direction to go to, because even if your portfolio isn't quite full yet, you're working towards a goal, and that direction is good. That direction and the baselines are set, then it just becomes a matter of time, and becomes, you know, you getting better at meeting that point halfway. You know what I mean?
Yes. So simple. If you're making a portfolio that goes to setting goals is a good way. Like, not everybody has a lot of good pieces right now. You might have to make some, and if you set goals for it, it's a great way to get started.
It's a great way to get started, and the portfolio actually never finishes.
Mm-hmm.
So every once in a while, you get too many pieces in there, you're gonna go back and sort of go through it with a fine comb and
chisel it out. Take stuff out.
Yeah.
Maybe even change things if you're okay with going back to old paintings.
I think it should be looked at every half a year or every couple of months. You should have like new stuff and old stuff sort of separated out.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of filter it again, and you should be really producing quality work. You should be able to see where your standards were before and where your standards are now.
Mm-hmm.
So every once in a while you go through that and you realize, oh, that's how much I've sort of came over the past few months.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a rewarding thing to do, and it actually gives you more perspective on where you're going to go after this, where you're going to go beyond this.
Oh man, there's some lasso tool going on here. I'm a little distracted. Hold on.
You're noticing the lasso tools in the back.
I gotta see what's going on with this.
I think I'm trying to do the sky in the background.
Oh, okay. Make it a little harsh.
Yeah,
harder silhouette too.
This piece is really, it's really random. I started in the thumbnail stage. You see, I started with something completely different, but I just ended up doing what this is.
It's like I don't know why, but Resident Evil 4.
Oh, it's got the color for it, yeah.
And he's got the jacket.
It's got the jacket.
There's Leon right there. Interesting.
Yeah, well, this is the stuff I do for fun.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know if I'll put this in my portfolio, but it's like one of those things that you just turn your brain off and then you paint a little bit and then turn it on and check if it's actually good. Well, I like this one enough to continue with it and all the way to finish. But so going back to like how people tailor the portfolio, I don't think any one person is excelled in all the fields. So what you said is important to sort of just direct your portfolio towards a certain goal.
Yeah.
Say that, because I know a lot of people that ended up doing a lot of Blizzard fan arts. So they draw their StarCraft characters, they draw their mock designs of units, and then they end up working in Blizzard because they get scouted and the style fits. The style fits, and they cover the three area where you show, you're able to consistently produce, and you're a good artist and your style fits. Why not hire you instead of hiring someone else and train them to be fitting in the team, right?
Well, it seems so many people are doing that anyway. There's like, you do fan art of things you like, and more often now, these people are getting hired.
Yeah, I think so. Like, if you want to go do a Call of Duty style of military design, then I guess you must really like that kind of stuff. And if you like that stuff, then you're going to tailor your portfolio more towards that. So you're not going to be painting Disney-style characters, but instead you're painting guns and tanks and walking mechs and stuff like that.
Like, try and make your work industry level, though. Obviously, like, Blizzard will only hire fan art that looks at their level.
Oh,
They're
yeah,
not
for
gonna
sure.
hire somebody who's just a big fan.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Like, remember that Mass Effect guy? Guy who did the Mass Effect, just like some DeviantArt dude. He did Mass Effect fan art over and over and over, and then the Mass Effect people were like, hey, work for us. Because his stuff was like, it looked like official art. And I'm sure it was annoying for them at first, and then they were like, well, let's just get this guy.
You know what? I think that's a really good point. If you want to work for the company, imagine yourself working for the company already and do their art.
Yeah.
Do their concepts.
Pretty much. And see if you enjoy it too.
Yeah.
What if you don't and you realize you don't want to work for Blizzard?
Then you probably don't want to work there.
Yeah.
That's a tried and true practice that takes a bit of time. You know, it does take your time to redirect your portfolio. And what if you don't end up working there? Then your portfolio is like, it's really directional, it's really one-pointed.
Well, you also get...
And then
you never lose out by having a new piece that's good and shows a new skill, right?
That's true.
As long as you enjoy doing it, then you can work at it.
yeah,
You can have a career doing it if you enjoyed it.
it's better to be directional than to be everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Because then people can easily identify who you are, right? But if you're a generalist, then you're just like any other guy out there.
And there's so many of those guys out there now.
And then it just means that you're replaceable. You know, being a generalist means that you're replaceable, and that's not good. You want to be the guy that people hire, and no one can really replace that because you design a tank that's better than anyone else's tank. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Tanks.
Tanks. We watched a movie about tanks, yeah?
Yeah. We watched a movie
so
yesterday.
It's pretty good.
I wish you were drawing a tank right now.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes we'll watch a movie and then we get inspired and come home and draw some stuff. But apparently we didn't like it enough.
Not today.
I didn't like it enough to draw tanks. Nope.
How many pieces do you think is on an average?
If it's a closed portfolio that you're delivering to a company behind closed doors, I think around 10 is a good area. Because after like more than 10, you're starting to dig into like weaker stuff and not so focused stuff.
Yeah.
I think so. But if you're on a website where an open portfolio, then you would have a lot more pieces.
Yeah, you just put everything you got up there.
Yeah. Well, not everything. Everything with the timestamp, like current year.
No, don't put timestamps on there.
No, not a timestamp, but you only keep it up to date to the certain year, and everything before that year gets, you know, put into storage.
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer that it's like model of cars, right? Like every year they come up with new ones, and every year you should have a new portfolio. So when they open up your page, you don't need to tell them when these pieces are done. They should just be looking at your newest ones.
You keep your old versions available. Like
If
this
you're-
is 2011 portfolio. Here's 2012.
Do that only if you're a working professional already.
Oh.
Don't do that if you're an aspiring artist, because before you make it, I don't think anyone cares. It's the hard truth. If you're a working master, and if you're a guy that's been in the field for many years, for a decade, then yeah, keep your old stuff because that's where you started. Right? People are gonna look at that. They're gonna respect you a little bit more. But if you're just like, I throw away all my old stuff because they're not so good anymore. And if people ask to see them, I'll give them a link to say, hey, you know, that's my old shit, and I've sort of where I started from, and it's worse than what most people have nowadays. So it's good to remember where you come from, but you don't need to sort of show everyone that constantly, right? Because people do judge by your weakest piece.
But they also sometimes judge by how much you've improved.
Yeah, that's
If your stuff looks like garbage on 2010, then it's almost worth it. Just like, look how bad I was.
I know, but honestly, every good artist have that phase.
Yeah.
Every artist didn't start off being a good artist. You know, there was no secret. There was no sort of a higher platform that they come from. Everyone had shit art, and it's really fair to assume that some of the great masters started off having shit paintings. You know.
Oh, I've seen them, man.
Yeah.
I've seen them.
And I respect the guys that put that up because
most brutal stuff.
Yeah.
Any trade secrets now? Now we get into the trade. Frank Hong.
Trade secrets.
Portfolio secrets.
Do we have portfolio secrets? Well, we did talk about what to do. What about what not to do?
I know, and it's more or less the kind of stuff you need to hear.
Yeah.
It's easy to forget because it is the most competitive
Yeah.
freaking industry ever.
Yeah, when you're doing a concept art portfolio, you should be aware that this is the highest, most competitive field of just like art, game art making, I guess.
There's so many people who can do it. I wonder what kind of career has this much kind of competition. I guess
F1 drivers?
F1 drivers.
I don't know. I'm just joking. We don't have those parties.
Oh.
But how do you come out on top though? right? So that was the question.
Yeah, taste. You
That
got
was
taste.
the question. That's a good point. Taste, because that's not something that it's something that can be trained, but not everyone have. You know.
And it comes with experience.
One other word that was thrown around here was the design sense. You can actually tell if someone have a more mature design sense. We found this sculptor whose posing was just amazing. It's really you can find his Facebook page, Simon Lee, Spider Monkey, and if you go look at some of his stuff, some of his sculpt, you can just start to really get that sense of the word design sense.
It bleeds with knowledge.
Yeah, it just bleeds with knowledge, and just like the simple stuff as posing, simple stuff as like a character expression, like things that everyone should be able to do, but with time it comes with a certain maturity in taste, you know. So that's really the next level of how to really get up on top for concept art and things like that. Simon Lee, who in my sense, I think it's a concept artist in every sense of the word, because he's designing with sculpt with clay, and the media doesn't matter, right? We're some of us are painters, some of us are illustrators, sculptors, but really it comes down to your maturity and your taste, and that's gonna drive you different, you know, a little bit higher than all the other guys doing the same things.
Most people probably believe they have taste, and that's good.
Well,
That's
yeah,
the first step, right?
yeah, it's the first step, yeah, but there is like, how do we pit these things against each other? You know,
You can't really compare. You can't ever tell somebody, you have bad taste, let me help you improve it.
Let me
It's like,
help you.
no.
No.
Everyone's got their own unique flavor.
Yeah.
That's what's so crazy about planet Earth. Is we all got our own. Well, let's not get into that.
Yeah. Wow.
Wow.
We're going deep,
Wow.
bro. You're so deep, I can't even see you.
We're gonna get existential on this.
No, but if you just look at like 10 years ago, what we consider as good looking has dramatically changed. It has been flipped on top of its head.
Staying with it is important.
I
what-
think that's exactly what it is.
That's why it's so nice to blaze through the front page on ArtStation to see what's hot, you know?
Yeah.
Go to Katsuka to see the animation that's coming out these days.
It's, you know, it's one thing to stay with the curve, and then there's another thing about riding the front of it, riding the tide, you know. If you can initiate a wave, then you're the guy suddenly that everyone looks at, and you're the inspiration, and everyone's trying to copy your style, and that becomes a wave.
You're more likely to do that if you find inspiration where no one else is looking. Like I mentioned, ArtStation,
Yeah.
you know, and all these websites. But to be honest, to be frank, everyone's checking those places too. Right.
Yeah.
So it's so much cooler if you could find some secret inspiration somewhere, like in the back alley of Tokyo, and some crazy
real life.
some crazy art book that no one's ever seen or something like that. In real life, yeah, from real life experiences, and
Yeah. It's great.
don't just draw what everyone else is, you know.
Yeah, it's cool though, but now the front page of ArtStation, it's kind of like front page of Reddit, because everyone who does art has seen it.
Yeah, and every joke you've read on the front page of Reddit, you can't say it in real life anymore.
Yeah,
Because everyone's going to be like, oh, I read that on Reddit. And it's
Yeah.
kind of the same thing. If you see all this really cool robot designs, like some new approach to something,
and you try to do it.
and you try to, it's like, wow, that's new, I've never seen it before, and you try to do it, everyone's going to,
Oh,
everyone's seen it, yeah.
That's so and so's robot.
Yeah, I saw that 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
It's, there's a lot of exploration.
So it's already too late.
Yeah, you need
When
to.
you saw it, it's already
the-
too late.
You need to do a lot of exploration, you know, to improve your taste.
That's true.
Sometimes stay away from the most public avenues. But
it's hard. It's hard
Yeah.
because the public avenues, they display maybe like a trend, like what's trending. So what people like, what people push on to the top, are always like on the top row. So you actually get a sense of where everyone's going at any given point. I remember just a couple of years ago when I think District 9 were or Elysium first came out, it had the exoskeleton robot suits.
In Elysium, yeah.
Yeah, in Elysium. And then everyone started doing the exact same thing, where you get exoskeleton and some of the robot mechanical designs. And there's a whole trend of that, and a whole wave that came and went. And I think now it's something else. Well, it's driven a lot of other products that had the same avenue of design.
But that's the game, and sometimes it's not so specific as an exoskeleton, but it's also maybe just a painter style, right?
Yeah. But we're all sort of, the industry doesn't work in a vacuum. We're always influencing, and we're always sort of taking and mixing everything that came before it. So I guess even now it's hard to just find one area in your portfolio and say, hey, this is what I do, because everything
This is
else,
all me.
yeah, this is all me, but everything else is mixing, right? So your ideas and your portfolio, it's sort of taken from what is already out there, and to make that really unique is really difficult, because it really requires a lot of research and a lot of sort of thought process.
In some ways, the most unique painting you can do is painting of your own face. You know,
Yeah, like a
'Cause
self-portrait.
yeah, it's the only thing that you're not
It's the-
copying anything else,
The
right?
only thing that you have is completely yours.
Yeah.
Really.
Not sure if that would work though.
Nope.
It's a portfolio piece.
Every painting just the face of the artist.
Your face, yeah.
Yeah. And it's matte painted. Her face is matte painted.
Wow.
Okay, so we're not gonna go through the entire painting in this video. We just wanted to give you a quick sort of episode on.
Nah, you're just gonna blaze through.
Yeah, we might blaze it through afterwards, but this is really like a special episode just on portfolio and what we think it means to us. We talked about what to do. We talked about what the portfolio really is. It's a representation of who you are as an artist. It's designed to get you some work, designed to get you jobs. And we talked about how wowing the art director is a different thing from wowing your audience. Some of the things that they should be careful about not to do in a portfolio.
Don't put things you don't want to do.
Don't put things you don't want to do, and don't have way too many pieces.
Yeah.
I know there's a mentality to display all the hard work, all the time you spent doing all the pieces that you think was important to you, but really you don't want to cluster it too much. You want to only pick the best ones.
Right.
So guys, that has been a portfolio workshop, and hope it's been helpful to you. So if you have any questions, leave a comment below and we'll answer it.
I think that's pretty much it, eh?
Yeah, I think that's it.
Blaze through the portfolio fundamentals.
Yeah, and if you have a portfolio that you want us to take a look at, leave a link in the description.
Leave a link in the comments because we read through them all the time. And
Okay.
those usually set the pace for our videos.